Go Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast here on a Ties Day in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Don't I look good today? I really look good. Got the tie on, got the Mississippi State tie on, feeling good. Terp is back in the building, thank God.
What's up, fam?
Oh, I'm so glad to see you, Terp. It got rough. It got rough yesterday. Yeah.
It's good to hear.
I asked him to play my song. He played something from Snuffleupagus. I don't know. It was just crazy sounds coming out of there all day. But you're back. Thank goodness. Glad to see you.
Good to
Michelle Hall checking in Waynesboro, Mississippi, down in Wayne County. Roy G. Hicks in Mobile. Johnny Sparks says good morning. Good morning to you, Johnny Sparks. Stephanie Lucas Nelson joining us from Richland, Mississippi this morning. Joshua Watts from Kissimmee, Florida. Hazelhurst, Michael Clyburn checking in. I met Michael back on Super Bowl all weekend. Enjoyed it. Kenny Manning from Stuttgart, Arkansas. Rob Hadaway is here. Connie L. Sidden from Senatobia. Lewis Williamson says I look atrocious. That's not nice at all. Boonville, Mississippi. Hello, Carla Newman. Kenny Emmerich from Alexandria, Louisiana. So we're going to talk about Dan Mullen. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what he said yesterday. I'm not angry about it. I think some State fans got angry about it. There's no need in getting angry. Greenwood, Renee Rowe Johnson. Arnaldo Camarena checking in from Stark Vegas. Hail State from Fort Worth. My man Brian Taylor. Good to see you, Brian Taylor. Thanks for being here. If you've ever watched the show before, you know there's More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country, which means we have an assortment of cowbells out here. You might see the junction bell here. Got the, I forget what this one's called, but it's a very nice bell sent in by Steve C. This is my bell I've had since 1991. Got this one from Maroon & Co. a couple of weeks ago. But there's an empty space, isn't there? Empty space for a bell. Got space right here. So it's New Bell Day. We need new bell music at some point. We need new bell music.
Yes.
To celebrate the arrival of a new bell. I now have, let's see, this is our 8th cowbell on the show. It has been sent in by fans of the show. I'm excited about it, and I will unveil our new bell now. This bell sent by Mossy Oak.
I like that one.
You like that one, huh?
Sounds cool.
Sent by Mossy Oak. This bell is it is a sturdy bell. This is a nice bell. I'll just go ahead and give you the whole tour there. Yeah, that's the Mossy Oak cowbell here on More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast. Love to see it. Love to see the new bells. Hey, if you want to send a bell, by all means. But let's see if this one. Pretty good ring to that one. Pretty good ring. I like the ring there. So there you go. Welcome, Mossy Oak Bell. Thank you to Kerry Sizemore and Mossy Oak in West Point, Mississippi, hometown of me and hometown of this great company that produces that camouflage. I don't hunt, but I've worn Mossy Oak before. Hail State from Saltillo, Mac McBrayer. Steve C. says, don't drop it in the woods. No, that would be difficult to find, although the handle would help. It is definitely camouflage. You cannot, there's no doubt about that. I like it on the desk. I didn't know if I would like it, being camouflage and everything else being different colors. I like it on the desk. Looks good. What do you think? Terp, looks good?
Can't see it. It's camouflaged.
Hail State from Corpus Christi, Texas, Micah Halfacre. Torrey Barnes from the Georgia-Alabama line. Kenneth T. Ambrose in Woodstock, Georgia, right up I-575. Jeremy Dees from New Mexico. Jessica Elm Bosley checking in from West Virginia. Hail State and Go Dogs. So we're going to talk about Dan Mullen, what he said yesterday. We're going to talk about the schedule this year and what really is the most important game of the season. We'll talk a little bit about baseball coaching rumors. Battle Bell. Thank you. That's the Battle Bell. Thank you very much. Battle Bell, Junction Bell, Mossy Oak Bell, My Bell, Dak Bell. They're all getting names, apparently. What happened to your right arm? Nothing. My right arm is fine. My right arm is good. As you can see, this is Tuesday, tie day. Ties Day here in the SEC Country Studios. I got the beautiful Mississippi State tie that I got at Maroon and Company. All right, you guys. All right, Lewis, I get your joke. You're checking in from the SEC Country lobby. You typed it 5 times. I got you. Hail State from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Justin Ryan Laird. Okay, we're going to talk about Mullen. I already gave you the rundown, right? Terp, you ready to go? Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's the More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast here on SEC Country. I am Brandon Walker. Hey, we got a new. You know what? We'll unveil the new email address tomorrow. I'll let you do that. We'll make a graphic, right? I'll say you can email morecowbellshow@gmail.com. We'll do that for tomorrow. We are rung in here on a I never get it right. We are rung in here on a Tuesday in the SEC Country Studios here at More Cowbell. I'm Brandon Walker. I got the Land Shark. I got the Shrekking crew on the other side of the glass. Land Shark, Terp, they're back in the building doing an adequate job. Dan Mullen said some things yesterday that have rubbed Mississippi State fans the wrong way, as he's going to do between now and September 29th. He's going to do it. That's what he does. He is good at rubbing other fan bases the wrong way. I overlooked it when he was here. I like the fact that he did it while he was on my side. Now he's doing it, and he's not on our side anymore. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the schedule in 2018. Dan Mullen thinks this will be the most important game of the season, Florida against Mississippi State. That's wrong. We'll determine what really is the most important game of the season. Baseball coaching rumors, Kendall Rogers of D1Baseball.com thinks there's a couple of names to watch, and they're very, very interesting names. 2-minute drill at the end of the show. Before we go any further, I want to say I got my new bell from Mossy Oak here on the desk. If you're watching on Facebook Live, Twitter, or YouTube, you can see the bell. It's a beautiful bell. I want to thank Mossy Oak. I want to thank the guys, Kerry Sizemore at the Mossy Oak Retail Store in West Point, Mississippi. It's a great company, great town, produces great people. Got the Junction Bell here, got the Battle Bell here, got the DAC Bell. A couple of these bells, Junction Bell, DAC Bell, you can get at Maroon and Company, where I got this beautiful tie I'm wearing. Maroon and Company on Highway 12 behind Chick-fil-A in Starkville, at Maroon and Co. on Twitter and Instagram. You can shop straight from Instagram. Mother's Day coming up this week. Go in, tell them you heard this from Brandon Walker, and they'll probably say thanks. I don't know. Maybe they'll give you a discount. Maybe not. I don't know. MaroonandCo.com. Check it out. Now. Mississippi State. We're going to talk about Mississippi State sports. Somebody on the Facebook Live says, stop with all the filler. Talk about Mississippi State sports. It's my show, sir. I'll talk about whatever I want. But I do want to talk about Mississippi State sports now. So, Dan Mullen was the coach at Mississippi State for 9 seasons. And he was a very good coach at Mississippi State. He built a program. He built a team in 2018 that's going to contend for being very, very good in the SEC. But he left. He went to Florida. He is now the head coach of the Florida Gators. He is now the head coach down in Gainesville, and he is leading the Gators. So he is no longer tied to us. But yesterday, he's doing one of his speaking tour engagements. He's somewhere in Florida, and somebody asked him about the Mississippi State game coming up September 29th, when Mullen and the Gators will come to Davis-Wade Stadium. And he said, do we have that quote? Did we pull that quote? All right, good stuff. He said this will be the most, to Mississippi fans, to people in Mississippi, this will probably be the most important game in the history of Mississippi football. He says it will be a gigantic game. There's probably never been a game more important than this game to the folks in Mississippi. And that is just so incredibly arrogant. It's so incredibly lacking of self-awareness. It's a level of ego that I ignored when he was the Mississippi State coach. I did. 9 years as a coach, I was all in behind Dan Mullen, and I still like the guy. I have no issue with him. But this is a level of ego and self-importance that we were able to overlook when he was our coach. Now that he's gone, we can embrace the fact that he's kind of a jerk. we can embrace the fact that we're rivals or we're going to be an opponent of somebody who's kind of a jerk. So he says it's going to be the biggest game ever in Mississippi. No, it's not. It isn't. It wasn't. It will never be. It's a big game for this year. It's a big emotional game. Now, in the context of the season, is it that big of a game? I don't think so. But emotionally, it will be the most fired up game of the season outside of the Egg Bowl, possibly. I do believe that. Emotionally, it will be one hell of an atmosphere. But does that make it a big game? Does it make it as big a game as Auburn? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. The Florida game is important to Mississippi State fans. Why? Because Dan Mullen left Mississippi State for what he deemed as a better opportunity. Now, I understand that. I understand, he's got to do what he's got to do for his family, but still, there's an element of kind of a slap in the face to Mississippi State fans from that. And he gets to come face Joe Moorhead. He gets to come face the team he built. But it's not the biggest game in the state ever. It's not the biggest game in the state in the last 5 years, not in the last 3 years. Dan Mullen helped build some of the biggest games in the state. I would say the biggest game in Mississippi State history, the two biggest games in Mississippi State history was, number one, Alabama 1980, and number two, 2014 Auburn, where we played with game day on campus, where we played on the 2:30 CBS game, where we played with number one on the line, and we won it. That's the biggest game ever in the state of Mississippi to Mississippi State fans, one of those two. And I'm sure Ole Miss has some of their own that they would like to claim. Of course, they're all back when the games were played in black and white back in the 50s and 60s. But they still have some they want to claim. There's no reason for State fans to get angry about Mullen saying this. There's no reason to get angry. Because he is trying to push buttons. He is very, very skilled at pushing buttons. When he was here, he pushed the buttons of Ole Miss fans, of Ole Miss administration. That's the first thing he did when he got to campus. And it was great. I enjoyed it. But he is trying to push buttons to make this game take on an added level of importance. He's trying to twist the knife a little bit, and that's just what he is going to do. That's just the personality Dan Mullen has. I don't think Joe Moorhead has that personality. He'll do it several more times, will Dan Mullen. He'll push our buttons 2 or 3 more times before this game gets here. He'll say something at SEC Media Days. He'll say something in the lead up to the game that makes us go, you know what? See, I couldn't say that without cussing. I tried. I couldn't find a nice way to say what I wanted to say there. But State fans will get really, really mad with Dan Mullen at least 2 or 3 times between now and the game. And yes, I will admit this is a big game because of Mullen coming back. I will admit it's emotionally a big game. But at the end of the day, it's Mississippi State hosting a 4-8 team without a quarterback. It's Mississippi State hosting one of the most disappointing programs, one of the most underachieving programs from 2017. It's Mississippi State hosting a team it should beat. Now, I think Florida will be better this year. I think they'll be improved because Mullen is a competent coach and they haven't had one in years. But Mississippi State is still going to be a better football team than Florida. That's why it's not going to be that big of a game. It's emotional. But when it ends, I think the hatred between Mississippi State fans for Dan Mullen will end. We have him on the schedule right now, and we want to beat him. We want to show him that he made a mistake. We want to show him that Mississippi State goes on just fine without Dan Mullen. We want to beat him. But when it ends, and he's not on the schedule again for another 6 or 7 years, I think State fans will settle into a pattern of respect for Dan Mullen and really appreciating what he did. It's Scott Strickland is the one who's never going to be welcome in Starkville again. Scott Strickland's the one that State fans are never going to forgive. Scott Strickland is the one that State fans will never have will basically been ostracized from the program and will never be welcome back in. Mullen, yeah, we'll appreciate him. I don't think the Florida athletic director will be welcome in Starkville anytime soon. And one last thing. Let's be honest with each other, State fans. If Dan Mullen is treating this as a big game, if he is treating this as a gigantic game, that's good for State, isn't it? We've all seen him coach in multiple big games. That's good for State. So if that is, if Florida is not as important a game as Dan Mullen likes to say, if it's not the most important game on the schedule, and I will say it's the most emotionally charged game on the schedule outside of the Egg Bowl, what are the biggest games? Looking at the 2018 schedule, what does it look like? How does it lay out? What are the most important games? To me, there are 4 that stand out above the rest. There are 4. And we went to hailstate.com, got this beautiful graphic the hailstate.com did of the schedule in 2018. So if you look at it, Stephen F. Austin, Kansas State. Now, Kansas State becomes an important game if State loses. That's a game we really can't lose. And at Kansas State, I don't like it second week of the season, but for the purpose of this exercise, let's assume a victory over Kansas State and UL Lafayette and Kentucky. So I think there are 4 games that stand out above the rest. I think it's Ole Miss, because that game is on the list every single year. I think it's Alabama, because that game presents you with an opportunity to beat a playoff contender every single year. It is Florida, because you've got Dan Mullen coming back. And it is Auburn, because Auburn is a gigantic swing game every single year. I left LSU off the list because I think State's just a much better team than LSU this year. I left A&M off the list because they're not that good either. I left Arkansas off the list because they are just atrocious right now. I think Auburn is the biggest game of the 2018 season. I've said it before. I'll say it again. That is the game almost annually that you can have a good season while losing to Auburn, but you can't have a special season while losing to Auburn. You got to beat Auburn. You got to beat Auburn because you're probably not going to beat Alabama most years. And in Mullen, under Mullen, we never did. But you can beat Auburn. And I think Auburn is the biggest because they're the closest SEC West rival to us this year. Alabama should come in number 1. And then number 2 is a battle between Auburn and Mississippi State. I think that's the biggest game of the year. I think Ole Miss is 2nd. I think Florida's 3rd. I think Alabama's 4th. If you beat Alabama, Alabama rockets to the top. But you can survive a loss to Alabama and still have a really good season. Baseball, Kendall Rogers does a great job, probably does as good a job covering his sport as any one-sport analyst in all of sports. Kendall Rogers at D1 Baseball. He was having a chat recently, and he came up with a couple of names. Somebody said, hey, who's going to be the coach in Starkville? His 3 names, Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball said, Mississippi State will hire either Jim Schlossnagle of TCU, Dan McDonnell of Louisville, or Tim Corbin of Vanderbilt. He believes the new hire will come from that group of names. And that is substantial. That is one hell of a group of names. That is swimming in deep water. What a power move that would be. Now, everything we've heard is that John Cohen has his guy. He knows who he's going to hire. It's a guy who has College World Series experience, and it will be announced the day after that guy's season ends. We have heard that behind the scenes. We've heard that, almost in front of the scenes. It's not really a well-kept secret. So John Cohen appears to have his guy. If it comes from that group of coaches, man, that's something. That is a power move. Building that stadium and then going out and refusing to just hire an up-and-coming coach or hire an assistant, but instead saying, we've got the best stadium in the country, we're going to hire one of the best coaches in the country, and we are going to be one of the best programs in the country. And we are leaving no stone unturned in doing that. That would be a huge power move from John Cohen. I look at the 3 names. All 3 are great. They've all 3 had great success wherever they are. Corbin has a national title. But I think the name, just listening to State fans, I believe the name State fans are most enamored with is Dan McDonnell at Louisville. I really think that. I think Dan McDonnell is the name that most State fans like above all others, although any of those 3 would be a great, great hire. It would be a signal to the rest of the country that we're not happy just going to regionals. We're not happy just being a good program with great fan support. We want to win championships. And that is what Cohen is out to do. 2-minute drill. Number 1, who is your choice for Mississippi State's next baseball coach? If you could hire anybody in the country, who is your choice for Mississippi State's next baseball coach? Who is your choice for Mississippi State's next baseball coach? 2-minute drill. I ask you random questions. Why worry about Kansas State? Bill Schneider, says Bill Anderson. Yeah, they lost to Vanderbilt last year, Bill. Tim Tadlock, says Junior Ray. Dan McDonnell, says Jared Clark. Tim Frank says Kentucky's coach, which is Nick Mingione. Will Clark, Billy Kelton. Come on, Will Clark. All right. Tim Corbin. Rafael Palmeiro. Rafael Palmeiro? What's happening here? Come on, guys. Dan McDonnell, Tim Corbin. So, yeah, I think Dan McDonnell has probably the most votes here. Louisville coach. Imagine taking Louisville's baseball coach. Just think about that for a second. Chipper Jones, thanks, Daniel Martin. Buck Showalter. Imagine taking Louisville's baseball coach. Beat him in football. Beat him in men's basketball in the postseason. Beat him in women's basketball in the Final Four. And then take their coach, the best coach on their campus, Wow. That would be just mean. That's what that would be. And it would be delightful. Flint Williamson says he should be the coach. That's a bold move, Flint. It's a bold move. Let's see if that pays off. Number 2, who will Mississippi State fans dislike more in 5 years? Dan Mullen or Scott Strickland? Who will Mississippi State fans dislike more in 5 years? Dan Mullen or Scott Strickland? Oh, I forgot giving them sermon. Yeah, that's another one. That's 5 things in the last 2 years that are just mean to Louisville. Tim Frank says Mullen. D. Curtis says Strickland. Travis Person says Strickland. Dan, Strickland. Mullen, Strickland. Strickland forever, says Ray Leno. Strick, Scott, Jessica Elm Bosley. Toby Denton says we will have forgotten both. I don't think we'll forget them. Who cares about either one of them, says Greg Keene. It's sports. Why do we not talk about coaches and athletic directors here? Scott Strickland for me, says Daniel Martin. Kevin Ernest says Brandon Walker. That's just mean. That's what that is. Roy Samante says Lee Beckley. That's interesting. Mullen, I think it's Strickland. I think we'll eventually forgive Mullen and appreciate what he did. I don't think I don't, I mean, I'm not judging Scott Strickland. Good guy, I think. But I don't think State fans are ever going to forgive Scott Strickland. That's what I believe. Number 3. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Number 3. One has to go. One's got to go. Cookies, pies, cakes, or brownies. One's got to go. Cookies, pies, cakes, or brownies. You got to get rid of one of them. Can't have one for the rest of your life. You got to get rid of one. Cookies, pies, cakes, brownies.
I dislike all 4, but if I had to get rid of one of them, I would say pies.
You'll get rid of pies first.
Because I can eat like a sugar cookie sometimes, brownie occasionally.
Cookies, pies, cakes, brownies, cookies, pies, brownies, cookies, cakes, brownies, not even close, says Martin Smith. Pies, cakes, cookie. Somebody says cookie. Justin Walthall says cookies. Got to have my pie and brownies. Get rid of the cake. Brownies, cookies, cakes, brownies, pies. Wow, it's close. This is heated. Brownies are just cake mistakes, says somebody. Kevin Ernest. Goodbye, brownies, says Ethan Fleury. This is the good stuff right here. I need to put that poll on Twitter so we can really get some scientific data there. Landshark, which one are you getting rid of? She's getting rid of cake. All right. I think I am getting rid of, one's got to go forever.
Yeah.
I might lose brownies. I eat brownies the least out of all those. I'm getting rid of brownies. No, I'm sure of it. I'm getting rid of brownies. Aren't brownies just cake, though? Ultimately?
Potentially, yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Number 4, what is your favorite ballpark snack? You go to a game, whether it's a Mississippi State or the Atlanta Braves or the Baltimore Orioles. What are you, a Mets fan? No, I can't remember what you are. You're a Mets fan, I think.
Mets fan.
Yeah. You go to Citi Field. What's your favorite ballpark snack?
Are we going general or like specific?
General.
Okay.
Beer and a dog, says Justin Walthall.
Beer and peanuts. Peanuts.
Is there an LSU fan here? There's an LSU fan in here right now. Nachos, says Aaron Suggs. Brat, says Jay Stubbs. Beer, says Jared Clark. The Burgeritza, says Tori Barnes. Popcorn, Ginger Tuck. Mac and cheese. Barbecue mac and cheese at Ranger Stadium, says D. Curtis, who got very specific. Nachos, barbecue nachos. Steve C. says Ghirardelli triple chocolate brownies are great. Well, that's good. That's good. Pulled pork nachos. I am a nachos guy when I go to a game because it's hard to mess up nachos. And I'm not talking about the $18 nachos with barbecue pork and with turkey and with everything, with cupcakes on top of them. I'm talking about nachos. That plastic thing cost about 20 cents. You got nachos over here and you got that hot cheese in the middle or on the edge. I like to put the chip in there and then let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then it's all soggy with cheese. That's what I like.
So you wait 5 minutes between eating chips?
No. No, I put one in there, and then I eat around it with other chips.
So you only get one good chip.
No, but it's a constant rotation.
Okay.
Number five, if you were a pro athlete, what would be your jersey number and why?
23.
23 because of Michael Jordan?
Yes, and it's been my number my whole life.
23 has been your number your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like there's an LSU fan in the comments, and he keeps disappearing on me. Yeah. What was the question? Mine would be 13. 13's been my number my whole life. From Dan Marino, and I always wore 13. Chris Bell says 7. 17 because Rob Hadaway. I got you. 63, high school number among several reasons, says Burnell McGee. 44, Reggie Jackson, says Tim Franks. Clint Williamson says 69. Nice. 2, because that was my college basketball number, Pierre Causey. Torrey Barnes, 24, my birth date. Cody Duncan, 9, because it looks good for a jersey. 18, Chris Bell. Steve Hill says 13 is his number. We can both share 13. That's fine. 21, because it's my B-day, says Ray Leno. 24, birthday day, Justin Walthall. 24, Eric Brown. 15, because of Dak Prescott, Jeremiah Body. 9, Bobby Boucher from the Waterboy. All right. Good stuff. So that's the 2-minute drill. That was fun. We had a good time on the 2-minute drill. 99, all the problems I have, says Wayman Hodge. But I bet I know what ain't one. So that's the 2-minute drill. That'll be the podcast. Hopefully it'll work on iTunes today. Working on it hard. Trying to figure it out. Now, we'll be back tomorrow on the show. Hopefully we'll have a guest. I've been working on getting a guest for the Facebook Live audience. Here I come. We'll talk. My name's Brandon Walker. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. Kevin Ernest says 0 because it matches my body shape. That's pretty good. 5, George Brett, great Kansas City Royal. Chris Bell says go LSU Tigers. That's great, Chris Bell. That's great. You're spending your lunch hour checking out a Mississippi State podcast saying go LSU Tigers. They are going to go 6-6, 5-7. They are going to go. Ed Orgeron's going to be fired because he's not a very good coach. Great program, great fan base. Worst coach in the league outside of Matt Luke. LSU will take care of Mullins for y'all, says Chris Bell. No, they won't. LSU's not beating Florida this year. LSU ain't beating anybody that's got a pulse. Why do I have an LSU fan here?
Would you like me to ban him?
No,
Right.
we don't ban people here. We are a welcoming show. I appreciate Chris Bell for being here. I'm going to mercilessly make fun of him, but we appreciate him. Did you have something to say to her?
Say hi to my mother who just logged on to the broadcast.
Your mother logged on.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, hello, Terp's mom. Hello, Miss Shalaba.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was okay. Good pronunciation.
Shalaba or
Shalaba.
Shalaba. Okay. Hello, Miss Shalaba. Welcome. Thank you for being here. He wasn't lying. He does have a job. Are you just checking to make sure he wasn't lying about having a job? I feel like that's what she's doing. She thinks you leave and just go like take a nap somewhere every day. Please ban Ole Miss people. I don't know if we have any Ole Miss people here. Yes, Chris Bell. We're all friends here. We're all friends. So I've been doing some social media and some talking on SEC Country Live every day, and I think some fans are starting to follow me from there. I had a Texas A&M fan yesterday that promised he was going to show up because he just is amazed I think Mississippi State's going to beat A&M this year. And I haven't seen him yet. His name is Bo, and I'm excited. So if you see Bo lurking in the comments, welcome him to our show. Do we ban Landshark? No, we don't ban Landshark. We're going to have somebody do it over there. I'm not going to do it. That's work. What's the number one Mississippi recruit you are most anxious to see if we get or see where he goes? Good question. I feel like I have a pretty good bead on where everybody is going. I do want to see where Nakobe Dean, the 5-star linebacker, goes because I'm scared he's going to go to Ole Miss and throw away his college career. Why is Nate Gettleman in the comment section asking
That's a great question.
how does Superman fly faster?
That's a great question. Does he just extend his body?
What's the deal with Malik Heath? I believe he's going to be JUCO bound, but it's not 100% yet. Not 100% yet. Somebody says Nathan Pickering. I think he is state bound also. I think he's going to state, so I don't really have a lot of anticipation there. Jerry and Jones might be the safety out of Northwest Rankin because I feel like I don't know that he's going to Oklahoma, so I'm anxious to see what happens there. Wide receiver on the team you're most excited to see, Cale Pierce. I think it's easily Stephen Guidry. We didn't get to see him in the spring. We saw Austin Williams, and he got us excited for what we saw. Devontae Jason was playing in the spring, but it's Stephen Guidry. I think he's the number one receiver on the team right now, and I've never seen him play. But it didn't take much to be the number one receiver on the team. So it is Guidry far and away. Rodney Hood is in the news, and it's not good. Rodney Hood went to Duke. I don't care to talk about Rodney Hood.
Also looks like Donkey from Shrek.
Does he?
It looks like twins.
There were some Mississippi mad people on Twitter last night. Thomas Loftus, that got heated, didn't it? That got heated. I just love people that have spent 3 and 4 years calling Steve Robertson every name under the book, telling him his reporting is trash, telling him this, calling him a buffoon, calling him a clown. And then when he goes on his show and calls them out for their actual terrible reporting, they get all mad. I mean, get really mad and just have meltdowns on Twitter. Steve Robertson is the only guy in the state that did report the truth. And you guys wouldn't know the truth if it slapped you in the face. Unbelievable. Who of the Mississippi recruits do you feel like we end up with? Isaac Sparks. I feel like, I like Mississippi State's chances with Pickering and Jerry and Jones, the kid from Noxby, the kid from West Jones, I think. Young is his name. There's a lot. There's a lot out there. It's a hard question to answer because there's so many big-time recruits this year in Mississippi. What about Bullock from Gulfport? Auburn really in play there? I don't know a Bullock from Gulfport. I know a Derek Hall, the linebacker from down there. Derek Hall is another one I'm very excited about. He might be the one I'm most excited about. LSU will take care of Mullen for y'all. Chris Bell, you've said the same thing 7 times. All right? 7 times. Move on to something else. And no, LSU's not beating Florida this year. They're not. Is this just going to be an LSU roast session? Can I just take the last 10 minutes of this show and just roast LSU for being a 5-7 team this year or 6-6? You say yes, Terp? Okay. Joan C. Gardner says, I agree with Dan. You think it's going to be this is going to be the biggest game in the history of Mississippi? Because I don't agree with that. It'll be big. It'll be emotional. Or it'll be loud. It's going to be loud. The first big game of the year in Davis Wade Stadium is always really loud. Like last year, the LSU game was perfect. It is going to be something else in Davis Wade Stadium on September 29th. You think we'll be able to get more than 1 5-star every year? No, I don't, Aaron Suggs. I don't. I do not think that. That was last year, and he's only beaten LSU twice in his career, says Chris Bell. Yeah, but he's only been coaching against Ed Orgeron once. So now that whoever is playing LSU, whoever's coaching against LSU, doesn't matter what they did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. LSU had a competent coach back then. LSU had good players. This is a new LSU. This is an LSU that said, hey, we don't care about football anymore. Let's just hire a clown to be our coach. And therefore, they're going to lose a lot. All I hear is Ole Miss is going to be dominant because they're ranked higher than us in recruiting. Reed Burrell, well, you don't need to be listening to those folks. Ole Miss has beaten Mississippi State the last 8 years in recruiting rankings, and they finished ahead of Mississippi State once. Don't listen. Recruiting rankings do matter, but they also don't. I know that's difficult, but Ole Miss knows how to win in February. They don't know how to make that translate into huge success between September and December. I'm not sure LSU will take care of anyone. Ricky Johnson. No, they're not. They're not. They're going to be awful. They've got Ed Orgeron. They got the worst coach in the league outside of Matt Luke. They have no quarterback. They have no running back. They have no receivers. They have no offensive line. Other than that, they look really good. Of all the elite running backs we're recruiting, which one is your favorite? Probably John Emery from Louisiana. I'm getting a little antsy. I'm ready for another 4-star jump in the boat. It was fun for a couple of weeks there. I'm getting ready to start filling this class out a little bit. LSU should compete for a national championship every year. How have they dropped off so bad? James King with the question. They let Les Miles hang on a little bit too long, and then they hired an awful coach. Top 10 job in the country, top 10 program in the country. They should be competing with Alabama for the West every year. And they hired Ed Orgeron. You ever just think about that? Can you imagine if Mississippi State hired Ed Orgeron? No, you couldn't, right? We would never stoop that low. Yet LSU did. Do we have the Dak pile drive clip that we could play? Best touchdown run ever? Shannon Lisenby? No, I don't think so. Nate Gettleman says, is corn dog a bad thing? I'm getting hungry. I've never understood why LSU fans get a bad rap for liking corn dogs. I like corn dogs. Corn dogs are delicious. Why is corn dog a bad thing? I love corn dogs. Can't wait to meet Coach Mo and Coach Cohen or Cohen in Huntsville next week. Paula Smallwood Dobbs. She's referring to the Road Dogs tour, which will be in Huntsville on May 17th, next Thursday. I know that because they're going to be in Huntsville earlier in the day, and then they're going to be in Atlanta May 17th, Thursday night. So in Sandy Springs, which is not far from here, I'll be going to it. If you're living in Atlanta and you're going to that, let me know because I'm going. All right. Good stuff. Land Shark, you want to get out here a little early today? I mean, you have to start your 2-hour lunch, right? Yeah. We are going to the LSU game. Cannot wait, says D. Curtis. I will say this. I think LSU is the best road atmosphere in the SEC. The stadium. I think Georgia's the best outside of the stadium. But inside the stadium and around the stadium, LSU is far and away the best. LSU is an incredible atmosphere for college football. It is my favorite place to play a football game in the SEC. Now, this year, when they're 3-4 or 2-5 when we play them, probably won't be the atmosphere probably won't be that great, but it'll still be fun to watch Mississippi State go into Tiger Stadium and win by 21 points. So do you broadcast from Atlanta? Julia Stevens, yes. The SEC Country Studios that I'm sitting in is in Atlanta, here in Dunwoody, Georgia, on 285 north, just north of Atlanta. Baton Rouge is fun. Says Reed Burrell, best food in the world is in Louisiana, James King. It is good down there. I love Louisiana. I used to cover high school games in Louisiana, and their high school concession stands would have gumbo and jambalaya and all the great Cajun food. It was unbelievable. It's a great, great place. Great state. Coach O for president. All right, Chris Bell's just messing. I think Chris Bell is not an LSU fan, and he's just playing the part of an LSU fan. He's just messing with us, so we need to probably need to get out of the Chris Bell business here soon. All right, good stuff. Thanks for Mossy Oak providing this beautiful cowbell right here. Thanks to Steve C for this one. Maroon & Company, and my mom in 1991. So, thank you, Mother. Mother's Day coming up. You excited about Mother's Day, Turp? Are you getting your mom something nice?
I get her something nice, but I won't be able to see her on Mother's Day, unfortunately.
Why not? Are you going out of town?
No, but I have people coming in to see me. I'm going to a festival.
On Mother's Day,
yes.
On Mother's Day,
you have
people coming into town to visit you, and you're going to go out drinking with your stinking friends, and you're not going to visit your mom on Mother's Day. You terrible, terrible person. What is your problem?
I don't have one.
That woman gave you life.
I know. She's awesome. But I'll get her stuff. I'll see her.
Land Shark, you getting your mom something for Mother's Day? A card. You two are awful human beings. You're awful human beings. You're going to the lake? Can't hide money, can you? My name is Brandon Walker. You've been watching More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.